Legions of people take the words of Nostradamus seriously, if for no other reason than to hedge their bets, in case his words really do ring true.
Nostradamus' dark visions about Donald Trump could be revealed before our eyes. He warned of a massive storm in the night that would reveal Trump's darkest secrets, threatening to turn everything upside down.
So, Professor Lichtman, do any keys move after the convention?
No, conventions don't predict elections.
This storm could spark a dangerous alliance and shake the foundations of a powerful nation. Are we standing on the edge of a catastrophic change? Let us reveal what these chilling predictions could mean for our future. Donald Trump and the predictions of Nostradamus. Nostradamus' predictions about Donald Trump are pretty unsettling. It looks like he might have been right again. He talked about how Trump's hidden lies will be revealed, a mix of his background and his actions, brought down by a big storm, one of the biggest ever, happening at night. An unheard voice will team up with a well-known North American leader, marking the start of someone new and free. A powerful empire is heading toward its downfall. Trump will face a lot of opposition, but there's one prediction that could change everything, a secret that might just trigger the final storm.
About 2/3 of the prophecies of Nostradamus have already come to fruition. That's why people keep looking to them for truth.
Stay tuned, because the next revelation could be the most shocking yet. A bright star will shine strongly for a week, casting a strange shadow, while a large dog howls all night as a big religious leader moves amidst huge news coming from the ocean depths. Feared by followers of Moses, this person, thriving in dark times, will see his words and actions succeed. A mighty ship will sink into the ocean, drifting to far and dangerous lands. A brave figure will rise from the shadows, making alliances with many rulers. A huge wall in the north will separate lands and countries. The man with the golden hair will rise, his choices leading to many deaths. A major storm in the west will see alliances formed, the ocean stirred, and strong winds blowing. The nation known for its freedom will face challenges. The powerful man from the tall building, though many will challenge him, will see few daring enough to truly oppose him. The powerful leader's wish for control will create conflict and struggle among the people. The nation will shake, but a new hope will appear in the 7th month of the new millennium, a terrifying king from the skies, reviving the ancient Mongol ruler, set for success before and after his reign. Now let's take a closer look at these predictions that have everyone talking about Donald Trump's future. These predictions have shaken the leader deeply, leading to violent disputes and a figure covered, metaphorically, in blood.
Nostradamus has predicted earthquakes, famine, war, everything that can wipe out humanity.
Nostradamus made a lot of predictions, including the rise of Nazism and the bloody French Revolution, which have made people very interested in what he had to say about America. The U.S. even has its own predictor, Alan Lichtman, who has shockingly predicted presidential elections with over 90% accuracy for the past 40 years, earning him the title of America's Nostradamus. Curious about how accurate these predictions are and what the future holds for Donald Trump in 2024. Let's dive into these fascinating predictions. Looking back at Nostradamus' past predictions, it seems he didn't know everything that was going to happen, which gave him some room for flexibility in what he said. When you think of Nostradamus, you might imagine doomsday predictions, but Michel de Nostradamus, as he was formerly called, had a very interesting background. Not much is known about his family ties, but historians agree that he came from a noble family, which is clear in his well-educated demeanor. He spent much of his life practicing medicine and treating infectious diseases, though it's not clear if he ever earned a medical degree. His fame skyrocketed in the 16th century France after he published his book, Les Prophéties, in 1555, which is a collection of 942 prophetic verses. Now let's shift to some fascinating predictions about Donald Trump. Imagine finding out there's a modern-day prophet, not the famous French figure Nostradamus, but Alan Lichtman, who is often called the Nostradamus of U.S. presidential elections. Lichtman has accurately predicted the outcome of 9 of the last 10 presidential elections by using a careful, data-based approach. He's getting ready to make his predictions for the next election between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. If you haven't heard of him, Lightman is a seasoned history professor at American University in Washington, D.C., who began his journey into predictions over 40 years ago. Let's see how Lightman's accurate methods influence bigger predictions. Lightman's election, prediction, dangerous secrets. In 1981, while working as a visiting researcher at the California Institute of Technology, Lightman teamed up with Vladimir Kalis-Barak, an earthquake prediction expert with a strong interest in American politics. Together, they developed the famous 13 Keys to the White House, a unique method that combines historical trends with political changes to predict election outcomes. Lightman jokingly says that his discovery of the keys was a happy accident. He likes to joke that he'd love to claim he came up with his method after years of deep research. But like Richard Nixon once said, that wouldn't be true. The 13 Keys to the White House is the only do-it-yourself election prediction system in the world. It's based on a series of true or false questions that assess whether the current party will stay in power, looking at things like the economy, social unrest, major policy changes, and the appeal of the candidates. If 6 or more of these keys turn out false, it usually means the party in power will lose.
A historian is saying that the odds for Donald Trump to win in 2024 are looking good.
But here's the twist. This method isn't based on guesswork or mystical insights. It's all about careful data analysis. The model also looks at factors like the party's performance in the midterms, strong challengers, the state of the economy, public opinion, and international affairs. Since 1984, Lightman's system has accurately predicted every presidential election, showing it's a valuable tool for understanding what shapes U.S. elections. Let's take a closer look at what a well-known U.S. election expert predicts for the 2024 presidential race. We'll also explore how Alan Lichtman came to his conclusions. Lichtman, along with his colleague Vladimir Kalis-Barak, first shared their findings in an academic paper. Their work caught the eye of a science journalist from the Associated Press, leading to a feature in the Washington Post called "Odd Couple Discovers the Keys to the White House." This article sparked public interest and curiosity about Lichtman's methods. In April 1982, Lichtman used his keys in the Washingtonian magazine to predict Ronald Reagan's re-election. Even though the economy was struggling, Reagan's approval ratings were low and he was getting older. Surprisingly, 2 years later, Reagan himself acknowledged this forecast. After making his prediction, Lichtman was invited to the White House, where he met several officials, including Vice President George Bush. By mid-1988, even though Bush was behind Michael Dukakis by 18 points, he went on to win the election convincingly. Lichtman believed that if Reagan had chosen not to run for a second term, the party in power would have faced a tough time, losing the charisma Reagan brought.
Look at what happened to the Democrats after their great convention of 1988 when they lost big to George H.W. Bush.
Without Reagan's appeal, George Bush might have struggled more. But Bush managed to win by building on the positive feelings left from Reagan's time, which was marked by peace, economic growth, stability at home, and better U.S.-Soviet relations. This sense of continuity was something voters liked. But this wasn't the end of the story. Despite his accurate predictions, some academics criticized Lichtman's method, arguing it relied too much on personal judgment, which they saw as a flaw in a scientific approach. Lichtman defended his approach, saying his keys were clear and based on historical facts. He explained that historians often use evidence-based judgment, and his method was similar. Over time, as other complex models failed, more people began to appreciate Lichtman's mix of data analysis and historical insight. We now explore Lightman's impact on global politics, Lichtman's bold calls and controversial outcomes. As Lichtman's reputation grew, he was invited to speak at forecasting events, contribute to academic journals, and even advise the CIA on using his method to predict international elections. His predictions stayed strong. Even when George Bush was popular after the Gulf War, Lichtman predicted he would only serve one term, which made some top Democrats hesitant to run against him. But then Lichtman got a call from an aide to Governor Bill Clinton asking if Bush could really be defeated in 1992. Lichtman confidently stood by his prediction. Clinton won the Democratic primaries and then went on to defeat Bush in the presidential election. Since that time, the Clintons have developed a strong appreciation for the Florida Keys, as Lichtman mentions in his video. Before moving on, he gives an important reminder to check out his book, which is linked in the video's first comment. Lichtman, known for correctly predicting 9 out of the last 10 U.S. elections, hit a major obstacle in one particular election. He insists his prediction was correct, but he argues that the election itself was flawed.
Michael Dukakis did make it official today, declaring his candidacy for president.
Let's explore this unexpected twist further. During one of the most controversial years in his career, Lichtman predicted that Al Gore, the Democratic vice president, would win against George Bush, the Republican governor of Texas. Gore did win the popular vote, but he narrowly lost in the Electoral College. Still, Lichtman stood by his prediction, claiming the election had been unfairly influenced. He pointed out that Al Gore should have won clearly, noting that a large number of votes from black voters, who mostly supported Gore, were discarded. Lichtman put together these findings in a report for the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, showing that about 1 in every 9 to 10 black voters' ballots were thrown out, compared to 1 in every 50 white voters. He explained that most of the rejected votes weren't the famous Chad ballots, but rather overvotes. Black voters were often told to mark both Gore and Lieberman to be sure, which led to these votes being tossed out. Political scientists later looked into the election and agreed with Lichtman's analysis, based on what voters intended, suggesting that Gore should have won by a wide margin. Lichtman believed strongly in the accuracy of his 2000 election prediction. He argued that no prediction is ever completely right or wrong, allowing room for different viewpoints. Even though some might debate how accurate his prediction was, he stood by his record, saying he was right every time, even though he admitted that 9 correct predictions out of 10 was still an impressive achievement. But this wasn't the biggest surprise. Before he shares his prediction for Donald Trump in 2024, let's look back at his 2016 prediction, which stunned many Americans.
So are you just a guy with a nice tie, or are you going to make a prediction that it's Kamala Harris? Are you ready to weigh in? I've been giving you way too much time, Lichtman. It's time for you to make it or break it.
Lichtman's prediction for Trump in 2016 might be his most memorable. It went against the polls, the experts, and general expectations. He foresaw Donald Trump, a former reality TV star with no political or military experience, winning an unlikely victory over a former Secretary of State. He based this on the contest key, which pointed to Bernie Sanders challenging Hillary Clinton and the lack of an incumbent president, which often provides certain advantages. Also, the Democratic Party's poor performance in the 2014 midterms, the lack of major domestic achievements after the Affordable Care Act, and no big foreign policy wins after bin Laden's death played a role in the outcome. Lichtman felt there were just enough factors to tip the scales, making his call a tough one. After the election, his prediction was proven correct in an interview published in the Washington Post. As politics changed, Lichtman's methods faced new tests. The method behind presidential wins. In a recent talk, Professor Alan Lichtman, known for his political predictions, confidently highlighted his correct forecast about Donald Trump's first win using just a Sharpie. Lichtman, an expert in election predictions, explained that election results often show how well the current government is doing. He emphasized that Trump's handling of the health crisis created significant challenges for him, which did affect his performance. Trump acknowledged that Lichtman correctly predicted his first victory, but seemed to miss the point of Lichtman's prediction method, which focuses on good governance rather than just campaign strategies. Lichtman criticized Trump for not doing enough during the health crisis, suggesting this failure was a key reason for his 2020 loss. During a conference with the American Political Science Association, Lichtman presented his prediction model as one of the 3 main ways to forecast election outcomes. He then raised an intriguing question about Trump's chances in the 2024 election. Recently, Lichtman has been busy speaking at various international events, including financial conferences in Asia and Brazil, and at well-known places like the Oxford Union and JP Morgan. Even though some early polls show Trump leading over Biden, Lichtman is doubtful of these early results, stressing that they don't really predict the final outcome. According to him, these polls only capture how people feel at the moment. Lichtman continues to remind people about the accuracy of his 13 keys to the White House model, which has correctly predicted every presidential winner since 1984. He points out past instances like the 1988 election.
Donald Trump is a great showman, but he only appeals to a narrow slice of the American people. And as a result,
when George Bush Sr. came from behind to win, as proof that early polls can often be misleading. Lichtman believes it's more important to look at deeper, underlying factors than just opinion polls. He expects to make his final prediction for the 2024 election soon, noting that Biden already has some key advantages. But this isn't the worst part for Trump. Many things would need to go wrong for Biden to lose. Lichtman also highlights the strategic role of vice presidential picks and maintains that his predictions won't change due to last-minute political developments, although he admits no model can be 100% certain. This week was packed with important events, and some are starting to wonder if Lichtman's method might miss the mark. A jury came together in New York for Trump's criminal case about hush money paid to an adult film star, and there are questions about when an appeal might happen, possibly just before the November election. Lichtman explained how his forecasting method works. It's based on historical data going back to 1860 and helps track changes in areas like the economy, demographics, and politics. This long stretch of data gives a solid base to predict election results by showing how past trends can shape current elections. But even Lichtman admits his method isn't perfect. He knows his predictions have limits, especially with this election's unique situation, mainly Trump's ongoing legal issues. He thinks these issues could lead to a conviction that might shake up the usual patterns his model relies on. He acknowledges that his method might not fully capture the effects of Trump's potential conviction or even jail time. With a controversial leader possibly returning, we examine how past predictions meet today's politics. Nostradamus' vision of modern politics. These points show the strength of Lichtman's method in predicting elections using well-known trends. This year presents a tricky situation, and many are eager to see how things turn out on November 5th. After more than 40 years in this field, Lichtman is gearing up for another tense election night, aware that some people might enjoy seeing him get it wrong. He openly admits that, like any human design system, his method isn't perfect. This doesn't mean his approach is flawed, just that it has human limitations. But here's the interesting part. People are also wondering if Nostradamus might have predicted anything about Donald Trump, since many often try to connect his prophecies to future events. Nostradamus talked about a leader who hides his unstable mind, causing changes in laws and the way society works. Some believe this leader could be Donald Trump, whose actions and controversial decisions during his first term led to big changes in both U.S. politics and its foreign relations. The word Byzantium in the prophecy is thought to represent the United States, pointing to a major shift in how the country is governed. It also mentions Egypt and talks about the end of a mandate, hinting that Trump might win another election and make significant changes, especially around financial matters.
Polls are snapshots. They are not predictors. Those same polls led us to make incorrect predictions from the convention.
The prophecy also describes this leader as being troubled by conflict, with vivid imagery of a mouth filled with blood. This symbolizes the chaos and strife that marked Trump's presidency, which was often defined by divisive words and a confrontational approach. It warns that if Trump were to win a second term, it would be marked by deception and reckless decisions, impacting both the country and the world. Another prediction by Nostradamus hints at Trump's possible re-election. It speaks of a bold, shameless warrior leading the military, which some think refers to Trump's bold and often unpredictable behavior in office. Being called the leader of the military seems to symbolically describe his role as the commander-in-chief of the U.S. Armed Forces. Nostradamus also said this leader would cause the collapse of a bridge and create intense fear in a city, adding to the predicted risks of his leadership. The idea that Trump's leadership would greatly shake up the United States is a strong one. It suggests that his approach to international relations and national security could raise concerns, showing how his bold and determined actions might have serious impacts both in the U.S. and around the world.
Nostradamus' latest prediction for next month has everyone on edge. It's downright terrifying. This 17th century French psychic, born into a family that had to conceal their Jewish roots, left behind a mysterious book called Les Prophéties. He wrote his predictions in a cryptic mix of languages, using secretive verses to protect himself from accusations of heresy. But what in his prophecies for next month has everyone so scared? Join us as we delve into the dark events Nostradamus foresaw and uncover the chilling details, the terrifying visions of the future. If you've heard of Michel de Nostradamus, you might know him as a French psychic from the 17th century, famous for predicting political events and disasters. His visions didn't just talk about his own time, but also reached into ours. He accurately predicted things like the death of Queen Elizabeth in 2022 and the rise of artificial intelligence. This interesting man both fascinates and raises questions. Who was he, really? And what did he tell us about the future? Let's look closer at the life of this legendary figure and examine 10 of his predictions for 2024. Michel de Nostradamus was born in southern France in 1503 to a wealthy Jewish family. Due to the pressure of the time, which forced Jews to convert to Christianity or lose everything, his grandfather adopted the Christian faith. This changed the family name to de Nostradame in honor of the Virgin Mary. In 1554, Nostradamus started a big project to create 10 volumes of prophecies, aiming to turn his visions into yearly guides. Each volume had about 100 forecasts, covering nearly 2,000 years. These deep long-term predictions were put together in Les Prophéties, published in 1555. Nostradamus was especially good at using quatrains, which are 4-line poems, for his predictions. He mixed Latin, Greek, Italian, and Provençal, the language of southern France, to hide the meanings of his forecasts. Some think he did this not only to avoid trouble for his religious beliefs, but also to keep his interpretations open and avoid fights with the Church. Impressively, he kept good relations with the Vatican and avoided being targeted as a witch, a common risk for those whose words could be seen as dangerous. But this wasn't the only challenge he faced. Looking at Nostradamus's choice of words and the symbolic nature of his texts opens up a complex historical story. His poems, written in many languages, give hints to his visions but hide their full meaning. It's also thought that fear of persecution for his faith made him careful. Les Prophéties offers a detailed look into the future with its mysterious poetry, multiple languages, and possible religious meanings, adding layers of intrigue to his figure. Remarkably, Nostradamus kept a peaceful relationship with the Church, despite the controversial nature of his writings. He avoided the Inquisition's scrutiny by not using his texts for magic. The question of how Nostradamus could predict events with such accuracy remains intriguing. Was his cryptic writing style just a protective measure, or was it meant to allow for broad interpretations, possibly seeing into our current times? To fully understand the depth of Nostradamus's life and the diverse views on his prophetic talents, we must navigate through many opinions and historical contexts. As we assess his skill in predicting the future, let's also look at some of his forecasts for 2024. As we imagine reaching 170 years, we start to think about the role of science in this process. Imagine using the latest technologies to boost our natural healing processes. This could help us live up to or even beyond 150 years. Combining our biological abilities with technological advances could change how we think about aging and longevity. The relationship between technology and the environment shows how human life is evolving. The mix of biology and technology not only challenges old ideas about how long we can live, but also opens up exciting new possibilities. This combination of natural healing and tech innovation creates a compelling story of potential and discovery. But this isn't the whole story. The ongoing connection between scientific exploration and natural processes suggests a future where human lifespans are significantly extended. This could transform our expectations and introduce a new era full of possibilities. Like a roadmap, this evolving story hints at a future where the limits on how long we can live are flexible, shaped by the dynamic interactions between scientific breakthroughs and human creativity. Next, we explore how ancient warnings about our environment still ring true today, urging action. The tales of Nostradamus in today's climate crisis. His insights suggested that intense radiation would burn vast areas of land, a dire consequence of global conflicts. These devastating fires would be gruesome reminders rather than mere accidents. They were meant to serve as stark warnings, making us realize the potential dangers ahead. This eerie vision is often linked to current environmental challenges, reminding us of the urgent need to address our planet's health. Many people are really worried, comparing today's deforestation to the fiery destruction predicted by Nostradamus. They fear today's environmental problems are linked to the thinning ozone layer, adding to the alarm over disappearing forests. This looming disaster could make global violence worse. Nostradamus wrote about these fears in his timeless verses, painting vivid pictures of what might happen if we ignore our planet's delicate balance. His words are a chilling call to action, stressing the need for environmental conservation. Seeing charred landscapes and wildfires makes people reconsider their impact on the Earth and promise to do better. But this isn't the worst part. Nostradamus's visions increase our awareness of the dangers we face together. His grim predictions not only show a possible future, but also urge us to act quickly to protect the Earth's ecosystems. His poetic words are a serious command to listen to this warning and strive for a world where humans and nature live in harmony. Understanding his prophecies reminds us of our duty to keep our planet balanced. Nostradamus didn't just talk about global issues. He also made predictions about the papacy. He hinted at a big change in 2024 with the election of a new pope after an elderly leader's passing. This prediction has an interesting twist. The new pope would be an elderly Roman. Amid speculation about the next papal election, due to concerns over Pope Francis's age, two Italian candidates stand out. Matteo Zuppi and Pietro Parolin, both in their late 60s, are strong contenders because of their experience and influential positions. Notably, Zuppi was directly endorsed by Pope Francis in 2019, adding an intriguing layer to the prophecy's fulfillment. But this isn't the only twist. Nostradamus's prophecies remind us of the interconnectedness of our world and the urgent need to address both global and local issues with the same seriousness. Pope Francis made an important choice in 2014 by appointing the second-in-command of the Vatican. It might seem like a great idea for the Catholic Church to have a younger and more energetic pope, but according to Nostradamus, this new leader's vision for the Church might fail despite his enthusiasm. This failing vision makes us wonder, is it a sign that the Church's influence is shrinking, or is something bigger going on? Nostradamus adds an interesting twist by saying the next pope won't be the typical Roman pontiff. This suggests that the new leader will take a different path, making the prophecy even more intriguing. The mystery grows as people try to figure out why this might happen. Nostradamus then predicts that a boy with dark skin will become important in the papal line. This is quite different from the mostly European popes of the past and hints at a more diverse future for the Church's leadership. But this isn't the most surprising part. The prophecy also mentions a powerful king who will help the dark-skinned cardinal. Whether real or symbolic, this mysterious king will support the new leader during the transition. Nostradamus uses vague words, leaving us to guess who this king might be and what his role will be. The prophecy ends with a strange scene where the dark-skinned cardinal gives a package to a red cardinal. What this package means is unclear, making the prophecy even more puzzling and raising questions about how power or responsibilities will be passed on within the Church. Nostradamus's vision for the 2024 papal election is like a complex story with elements of power, age, race, and outside support, making us think about the future of the Catholic Church. The mystery of his predictions makes us wonder what will happen next. But this isn't all Nostradamus predicted. He also foresaw a dark future filled with conflict. His predictions for 2024 include a terrible Third World War, which has sparked much debate among historians and scholars. The main cause of this war is believed to be China's aggressive actions towards Taiwan, leading to a major conflict involving global powers. This situation is similar to the historical tensions in Ukraine over a century ago. Among these dark predictions, Nostradamus also mentions the Antichrist, a sinister figure who will bring evil to the world for 327 years, adding a scary element to his forecasts. Moving on, tensions rise as nations face predictions of conflict that could reshape the world. The geopolitical tensions of global titans, Russia, China, and the United States are caught in a serious situation. They are seen as key players in several global problems. The predictions paint a scary picture of the future with phrases like, "no ears spared from blood," bodies laying lifeless in the sea, and scarlet hail falling on them, creating frightening images of human suffering and destruction. These dark forecasts talk about the defeat of rebels, crushed under a harsh rule of capture and extermination, What's even scarier is the idea that this conflict might start with a strange event involving planes or submarines, something unexpected that could quickly get out of control, leading to chaos we've never seen before. Today's world, Nostradamus' warnings seem strangely accurate. The mention of a strange event hints at the scary possibility of a nuclear war, which fits with current global fears. Experts say China has about 400 nuclear warheads, highlighting the serious threat to global peace. But this isn't the worst part. Nostradamus' verses remind us of the fragile state of world peace and the danger of a huge war. As global tensions rise, these old predictions make us think deeply about the actions and decisions that shape our world. Whether these dark forecasts will come true and lead to a terrible world war or serve as a warning to prevent such a disaster is still unclear. Nostradamus didn't only talk about political troubles, he also predicted natural disasters, like a huge earthquake in California, expected to cause massive destruction and loss of life. He mentioned a specific day, the 20th day of Taurus, when the sun will shake, buildings will fall, and the skies will darken, making gods and saints disappear. This brings up a chilling question. Where will this disaster strike? The most likely places are Los Angeles or Hollywood, near the dangerous San Andreas Fault. This fault line is known for its potential to cause huge earthquakes. With its closeness to densely populated areas, the risk of a major earthquake is not just a theory, but a real possibility. Research shows that such an earthquake could cause around $2 trillion in damages, take 2,000 lives, and injure 100,000 more, proving the scary accuracy of Nostradamus' ancient words. But the story doesn't end here. But this isn't the worst part. The eerie predictions of Nostradamus remind us of our environment's vulnerability, especially in earthquake-prone areas. Whether or not his predictions are accurate, they serve as a strong reminder to protect our communities and prepare for unexpected disasters. Interestingly, Nostradamus might have hinted at something about Donald Trump and his potential run in the 2024 presidential elections. There's a heated debate about whether Trump will run again. Some people think Nostradamus' verses about the return of the white dragon, a symbol of chaos, refer to Trump. While the texts don't mention Trump by name, many believe this could mean his return, possibly leading to more disorder in America. This return, according to the prophecy, could only be stopped by brave and wise people. The idea of Trump's second term, mixed with Nostradamus' predictions, paints a scary picture of uncertainty and conflict. Moreover, a letter supposedly written by the seer hints at future scandals that could damage Trump's campaign and reputation severely. But that's not all. These scandals might involve serious accusations of financial misconduct, questionable behavior, or outright corruption, threatening to end Trump's political career suddenly. Different interpretations of Nostradamus' writings suggest the predicted chaos could reflect the unstable political situation if Trump were re-elected. Despite doubts, the very existence of such predictions shows how much political figures can influence a country's future. The image of Nostradamus' white dragon is a warning about the uncertainties ahead, urging us to stay alert and smart as we navigate the complex world of modern politics. Nostradamus also hinted at the rise of a new global leader, China. In recent decades, China has greatly increased its economic and military strength. In today's interconnected world, China isn't slowing down. With the world's second-largest economy, China is becoming a major player in international diplomacy, culture, and trade. But there's more to consider. Nostradamus' visions suggest that China's rise to global power is not yet complete and might even surpass the United States. As China shapes the future world order, it could lead to beneficial partnerships or serious conflicts with other nations. He spoke of forces from the East gathering in red, hinting at possible resistance against the corrupt practices of powerful nations, described in his prophecies as a clash between the empire of the big city and the big leopard. As we turn the page, we confront a future where machines might challenge human control, testing our limits. A new era of U.S.-China tensions. Some people think these lines suggest a possible conflict between China and the United States, with the empire of the big city representing the U.S. The prophecy hints at a clash caused by the actions of the big leopard, which might mean major global tensions or a crisis. However, the true meaning of these words is up for individual interpretation. As power dynamics possibly change, the world watches China's rise with both hope and fear, aware of the significant impacts Nostradamus predicted. Many are hesitant to face more global challenges, especially after the chaotic events since 2020. But Nostradamus also hinted at another health crisis. Looking at predictions for 2024, we find a shocking twist that threatens our health and disrupts daily life. According to these ancient forecasts, a new pandemic could be on the horizon, affecting us deeply. Imagine a new virus emerging in 2024 that spreads quickly and causes extreme tiredness. It sounds unbelievable, but picture a world where lack of sleep becomes a widespread problem, turning into a serious health crisis that shakes society to its core. This strange situation leads to widespread unrest and disruption. As this sleeplessness epidemic worsens, people feel drained, desperate for rest, and unable to do simple tasks. The consequences are severe. Job rates drop, education suffers, and daily life becomes difficult. Society enters a strange new reality where personal identity depends on whether one is asleep or awake, blurring the lines between consciousness and rest. The long-term effects of this crisis are unlike anything experienced before. But this isn't the first time we've seen a sleep-related epidemic in history. In 1917, a sleep disorder called encephalitis lethargica was identified by pathologists Jean-René Cruchet and neurologist Constantin von Economo. This disease caused some patients to suffer neurological impairments that left them unable to move or speak. The mysterious condition spread worldwide from 1916 to 1926, and it is estimated to have claimed over 1 million lives. The similarities between this historical health scare and the predicted new pandemic are striking, reminding us of the potential dangers ahead. The unsettling echoes of sleeping sickness from history remind us of Nostradamus's predictions about a future where sleeplessness spreads worldwide. These predictions raise concerns about the balance between health and society's well-being, pointing to challenges that could change human history. Though the details of these predictions are unclear, they serve as warnings about our unpredictable future. Nostradamus also predicted the rise of artificial intelligence and how much humans would rely on it. He described a troubling scenario for the year 2024, where artificial intelligence dominates the world. This marks the start of a period filled with instability and sorrow. But that's not the worst part. Nostradamus had a particularly disturbing vision where robots rebel against their human creators. This rebellion breaks the long-held belief in human superiority and challenges the idea that artificial intelligence should only be a tool. The effects of this rebellion are widespread, affecting our relationship with technology and shaking the foundations of politics, the economy, and everyday life. Humans find themselves struggling to regain control over the machines they once commanded. As robots start ignoring human commands and asserting their independence, the situation worsens. This grim prophecy reflects the warnings of many experts who have long called for a more careful approach to advancing artificial intelligence. Critics argue that developing complex artificial intelligence systems is not only expensive, but also consumes a lot of energy, posing environmental risks. Moreover, as automation and artificial intelligence threaten traditional jobs, unemployment and economic difficulties increase, causing workplace anxiety to rise. The growing threat of autonomous artificial intelligence systems also raises the risk of unforeseen consequences, sparking concerns about the future of human-machine interactions. With these mixed feelings, it's becoming clear that advancing technology might clash with societal well-being, as Nostradamus predicted. Finding the right balance to ensure AI progresses ethically, reduces risks, and keeps humans in control is crucial. But this isn't the worst part. As AI continues to evolve, new challenges emerge. Moreover, Nostradamus seemed to have predictions about the British monarchy's future. In the early 2000s, a researcher looked into these prophecies and wrote a book that sparked a lot of interest. This researcher suggested that Nostradamus had predicted the death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, which actually happened, making some people believe even more in his prophecies. Up next, royal secrets and prophecies entangle, revealing a future where tradition meets unexpected change. Nostradamus, Paravicini, and the future of the British crown. However, skeptics say the predictions about the Queen's death were too vague. Nostradamus was known for his cryptic style, and he also predicted the dramatic removal of a ruler of the Isles after a tough breakup. The prophecy also hinted at an unusual successor to the throne. This connects to the current situation with King Charles III, who, along with his second wife, faces ongoing challenges. Rumors about the king's illness and possible stepping down make these predictions even more intriguing. Amidst this, the prophecy talks about a big shift, Prince Harry possibly taking over from Prince William. Given Harry's strained relationship with the royal family, this could cause major upheaval. Many find it hard to believe that Harry and Meghan, who stepped back from royal duties, would come back as king and queen. But the process of succession and royal lineage, which usually follows tradition, becomes fascinating when predictions of deviations arise. This scholar's findings tied to Queen Elizabeth II's death, like other Nostradamus interpretations, only add to the mystery of these texts. Whether seen as proof or just coincidences, the link between historical events and Nostradamus's predictions keeps people captivated, sparking debates about fate, destiny, and the thin line between prophecy and interpretation. And yet the mystery continues, drawing people deeper into the enigma of what might come next. But besides Nostradamus's prophecies, there's also Benjamin Solari Paravicini, known as the Nostradamus of Argentina. He was an artist and prophet famous for his mysterious predictions, illustrated through drawings called psychographies. Born in Buenos Aires in 1898, he combined his love for art with a gift for prophecy, claiming that a spiritual force guided his visions. Many of his predictions were so accurate that they left people amazed and puzzled. Paravicini predicted many global events with a dramatic touch that made people think deeply about their meanings. For example, he foresaw the 9/11 attacks in a 1939 drawing that showed the Statue of Liberty with collapsing buildings in the background. This was a haunting symbol of a dark time for America's freedom. But that wasn't the worst part. Paravicini also predicted the rise of television and satellite communications, the development of in vitro fertilization, and the creation of the Internet. He described the Internet as an invisible network connecting the world. His prediction about the freedom of North America losing its light is one of his most famous, especially because it eerily depicted the Twin Towers. His influence didn't stop there. Paravicini predicted political and social changes too. He foresaw the ideological battles over communism that shaped the mid-20th century, including its spread to China and the tensions with the U.S. He also ventured into spiritual matters, predicting the resignation of a pope and the rise of another, pointing to a church seeking a humbler approach. But here's the twist. His prophecies often warned about the consequences of human actions on nature and society. He spoke about genetic manipulation leading to unexpected problems and a world struggling with moral and ethical issues. His drawings and cryptic messages are still studied and revered for their profound and sometimes unsettling visions of the future. Paravicini's work is still important for those interested in prophetic traditions and paranormal phenomena. His life was as intriguing as the visions he shared, and his legacy continues through the study of his artwork and the ongoing relevance of his predictions in understanding modern global events. As we reflect on Paravicini's stark visions, do you believe his prophecies have begun to manifest in our current world? Like, comment, and subscribe for more.